What's poppin', people? It's Dante. Today I'm going to be giving you my ultimate street photography mindset guide, essentially talking about the philosophy and the mindset behind my photography process. And so I believe that the mindset of a street photographer is very critical because a lot of the time when you're out there on the streets, you may be attached to the outcome, the photograph that you're trying to make. However, when you embrace the mindset of a child, when you embrace the mindset of an amateur, of somebody who is going out there to explore, like it's their first day with a camera, detached from the outcome of you making a successful photograph, you will come home with stronger photographs, because when you let go of these attachments and you essentially enter a flow state on the street, you will become much more successful with your photography. And so today we're going to be talking about the philosophy, the mindset, and how I approach the streets. And so I believe that street photography is more than just taking pictures of people, right? It's an ethos, it's a philosophy, a way of seeing the world, where it's not a step-by-step process, it's not a recipe to follow, it's a way of engaging with life in its rawest, most unfiltered form out there in the open world on the front lines of life. And so at its core, philosophy is merely the love of wisdom, where philos means love, Sophia means wisdom. And so to be an amateur forever, I believe, is the ethos of philosophy, where you want to basically go out into the world like a child, right? Open and eager to learn and explore, where I never want to feel like I've mastered photography. I want to feel like I'm forever growing, learning, and exploring each and every day through the pursuit of wisdom for the love of wisdom itself. I find that photography is one of the most beautiful and simple ways to engage with this notion of philosophy, as a photographer out there in the world exploring is merely curious about life, where photography is essentially, for me, daily exploration. And I go out there in the world with my camera without any preconceived notions of what I will find, simply setting my body in motion each and every day in the spirit of play, where the shutter becomes a question mark. I'm asking questions about the world around me, chipping away at life. And so think about a child, right? Curious, courageous, and open, climbing trees, building teepees, exploring the unknown. This was my childhood here in Philadelphia, where I grew up in the Wissahickon forest. And I believe that maybe we too should treat the streets like a playground, like we're big kids with cameras just going out there to play. And I think through that mindset and that approach of a child, not taking yourself so seriously, you will enter that flow state much more easily. And so each and every day when I wake up, I treat it as if I was just born again. And when I go to bed at night, I treat it as a mini death. And so this, I believe, is what provides my life with so much zest, where I have a pep in my step each and every day, because when I wake up in the morning, I'm just so grateful to have another opportunity to go out there with my camera and to make photographs and to observe life. And so by adopting this stoic mindset and reminding yourself that you will and must die, each and every day when you wake up with the camera, you will see the world with fresh eyes. And so there are infinite possibilities. And when you treat your days like a cycle of death and rebirth, each and every morning you have a blank slate. Think of a child, think of a blank slate. There's infinite potential, infinite growth, infinite things that you can learn and do. And so we want to go back to that childlike state of being every single morning when we wake up, so that we recognize the infinite potential out there in the world. Where I find that a lot of the times you get bogged down by all the preconceived ideas of what has been done in the past in the history of photography, or photographs that you've made, or things that you think you've seen. But realistically, there are so many ways to make new photographs. And so photography at its essence is drawing with light. If you look at the word, phos meaning light, graphe meaning drawing. And so we're drawing with light. And when I photograph in high contrast, black and white, it feels like I'm creating these very quick, instant sketches of light itself. And so when you embrace light as the medium, of course, or also the subject itself, you find these infinite possibilities with the way you can photograph. Because when you use light as a medium, it's endless, right? Because the way that light gives shape to the world is constantly evolving, constantly changing, where you cannot make the same photograph twice. I can return to the same corner outside of City Hall at the same time each and every day here in Philadelphia and make a photograph at the same time, at the same angle, for the same thing. But the photograph will never be the same. The way the light casts upon surfaces, people, places, and things will always have a nuance or a gradual change. And so this is a very empowering mindset to remind yourself when you're out there in the world, is the simple fact that you cannot make the same photograph twice. There are shifting seasons, looming shadows, light bouncing off of surfaces. There are small nuances and differences that you will find each and every day when you approach the streets in the spirit of play. You'll be much more in tune to this sort of novelty that is found and cultivated through your mindset and the way that you look at light itself. And so a photograph is a reflection of my courage, my heart, and ultimately my soul. If you look at the word courage deriving from core, meaning heart, I believe that this is the essence of our photographs. And when I'm photographing, not only am I photographing the soul of the street, but I believe that my soul is reflected in the photographs I make, because I believe that photography has nothing to do with photography. Photography has everything to do with how you engage with humanity out there in the open world. And so to photograph humanity, get close to humanity. Just live your life and bring your camera for the ride. This means that when you're out there in the world, as much as you can see the world and perceive with your two eyes that are connected to your brain that allow you to see the world with sharp visual acuity, recognizing patterns, recognizing gestures and light and compositional decisions that you can make, the essence of a photograph is your soul. The essence of a photograph is how you engage with the world at whole, right? The point is, when you're out there and you're photographing, the result of the image is a reflection of you. The way in which you engage, the way in which you behave, the way in which you interact with society and engage with humanity. And so remember that, because I believe that the best street photography requires curiosity and courage. These are key traits that we must possess. So you have to step outside of your comfort zone and embrace the chaos of life, sort of hurl yourself into the abyss. And when you go out there into the unknown and you explore with courage at the forefront, it's almost like nothing can get in your way. When you embrace the unknown openly, you sort of float through the chaos on a featherbed and nothing can scathe you. Nothing can break your spirit or your love for life. When I'm out there photographing, I have a very practical way of engaging with the streets where I slow down. I'm walking about 75% slower than everyone else on the street. And this allows me to recognize patterns. This allows me to connect with the moments that are fleeting very quickly, where I'm recognizing patterns in the light. I'm anticipating the movement and the gestures of people. And so by slowing your physical body down and walking at a very slow pace, you'll enjoy the leisurely stroll, of course, but you'll also be much more in tune with the rhythm and the beat of the street. And so I find that intuition is king, right? We want to photograph from our gut. That gut instinct at a fraction of a second when you click the shutter is the result of the image. It has nothing to do with your brains. It has nothing to do with the way that you see. It has everything to do with how you feel and engage from your gut, from that instinct to press the shutter, where life is out of our control. And the goal of a photographer is to put order to the chaos in our frames. And so when you see a quick fleeting moment, it's that split second, that instinct that tells you to press the shutter, to drop low, to move to the left, to shift to the right, and make a composition. Because I believe that photography is a visual game and a physical pleasure, meaning composition is physical. And so when you look at this image I made here in Rome outside of the Colosseum, I made some very simple compositional decisions that were a result of my physical position in relationship to the subject and the background. And so when you see this photograph, you will essentially understand what I mean by this. The first step was plugging in my background, filling that top part of the frame with the Colosseum there illuminated in the light. Secondly, I observed the patterns of shadows and the way they were casted upon the wall and positioned my physical body in relationship to the background and that shadow. Finally, waiting for the subject to enter the foreground of my frame, filling the composition from the foreground, middle ground, and background. And this, to me, is the art of composition. It's recognizing the light, positioning yourself at a choke point where you can sense the possibility of a photograph. There are people here constantly moving. You have a beautiful backdrop. You position your body in relationship to that backdrop. You observe the light and the nuances of light and shadow play. And then you simply wait and you fish and you photograph through your gut when somebody enters your frame. And so the camera is more than just a tool. It's a passport to see the world. And this, to me, is the most exciting aspect of photography, where the world is so open. There's so much to do, to see, and to explore, and to photograph, where I volunteered on a kibbutz in Israel, milking cows. I've also lived with a Palestinian family in Jericho and slept on the floors of mosques. I volunteered in Zambia, Africa, as a fish farmer. I've explored the slums of Mumbai and the mountains of Mexico. There's been so many experiences that photography has provided me due to my curiosity that guides me. And I encourage you to remember that and to go out there and to throw yourself into a new experience, to follow that intuition and that instinct to explore, to conquer the world with your camera. And I find that through those experiences, you will not only cherish the memories, but you'll also have this ability to create art that is an everlasting sort of image, an everlasting work of art that you can cherish for the rest of your life, right? And so the camera is, and you learn just so much through exploring. The camera is the excuse for me to go out of my door and to see what's going on. You know, this to me is a very powerful and simple way to look at photography and what keeps me going out of my door each and every day. I'm just curious about what's down the street. I'm curious about what's around the corner, down the alley, by the river. And I get my camera and I go out there and I just live my life and I bring it for the ride. You know, where the camera is a sword. And when I'm out there on the streets, I strike through the heart of chaos, reflecting the soul of the street, creating visual order and harmony through the spontaneity of everyday life, transforming the ordinary and elevating it to an extraordinary height. The art of street photography is the fact that you have now the ability to create something from nothing. No matter where you are, no matter what you're doing, you have this superpower, and use photography and use the camera this way as a way for you to strike through the chaos and to find meaning in all of the mundane moments that are fleeting and that you find yourself in. And so photography is not about external validation, right? For me, the purpose of photography is to move forward each day with curiosity. You know, for me, photography is the art of following your bliss, following that inner child, following what brings you joy, and following curiosity. Because to me, my goal is to increase my curiosity by 1% each day. Because the more that I walk, the more that I see. The more that I see, the more that I photograph. And the more that I photograph, the more curious I become. And to me, this cycle of cultivating curiosity is the ultimate goal to keep me perpetually going out there making new photographs. And so think more so about the way in which you approach the streets through the lens of philosophy, through the lens of the pursuit of understanding, of learning and growing. You know, to me, that's what photography is all about. It's not about making great photographs, but it's about learning and cultivating curiosity. And so a photographer is responsible for embracing the unknown, right? For what is an artist doing but articulating the unknown, right? We put order to the chaos. We go out there and explore with courage at the forefront. And then we elevate the moments that we find and champion humanity through beauty. You know, and I think that is the ethos of street photography. You know, there is just so much out there to do, to see, to explore, to photograph. And this is so exciting. And the camera gives you that excuse to continuously go out there and to throw yourself onto the front lines of life, just to see with your curiosity what you will find. And so use photography as a way for you to explore the world, you know, where the world is our canvas. This is the beauty of photography as a medium, where a simple glimmer or shine of light and the way it bounces off a ceiling or off of a rooftop or off of a skyscraper or, you know, casts upon, you know, a city street, the way somebody glances and looks back towards you through the window, the way that a child plays in the fountain. You know, there's just so much beauty out there. And when you look at the world this way as a canvas, it really does unlock infinite possibilities, because the world is endless. There's so much terrain, there's so much to explore, there's so much to photograph. And, you know, that's just a really exciting thought I have about photography. And so I just continuously walk endlessly from the sunrise to the sunset each and every day in this spirit of play. And I find that by walking endlessly and photographing throughout my day on my journey, I enter the stream of becoming. And what does this mean? Essentially, I'm changing, I'm transforming, I'm photographing new things each day. And I find that to change, this is happiness, this is bliss. And to affirm life with the click of the shutter each day is the goal. For my next photograph is my best photograph. And I enter this stream of evolution and change by affirming my practice with this very simple mantra that I encourage you to also adopt. My next photograph is my best photograph. Don't dwell on the photographs you made yesterday, last year, 2 years ago. Don't think about the photographs you'll make tomorrow, next year, on a trip, in a far date, or in the future. Focus on the now. Remain in the present moment and recognize with each click of the shutter that you're saying yes to life and affirming life by confirming that your next photograph is your best photograph. And through that change and through that evolution, through following your curiosity, you will inevitably find happiness. And so, yeah, follow your joy and cultivate it through the medium of photography. To me, this is my mindset. This is my philosophy on how I engage with street photography. And so thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed, feel free to visit my website at dantesisofo.com. I have 3 free ebooks under the books tab. We have the Ultimate Ricoh GR Street Photography Guide, where you can learn about my camera settings, my technique, and my philosophy. If you enjoy these photographs from this video, essentially I give you the exact steps on how to approach the streets my way. I also have the Contact Sheets ebook, where you can see the behind the scenes for how I make certain photographs, and also the Mastering, Layering, and Street Photography Guide, where I give you the foundational principles for how to approach compositions on the street. And so, thank you once again. This is the link to my website and a QR code to scan and send me some Satoshis if you enjoyed this video. Yeah, I don't know, I think it's kind of interesting to adopt the new technology, the new money. Yeah, the future is Bitcoin. Go to hope.com, go to dantesisofo.com, and we can all thrive together. All right, so that'll pretty much be it. Yeah, thanks once again for watching the video. Hopefully some of these ideas are something that you can think about and apply to your practice, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.